developing interpersonal skills. The quality of interpersonal relationship is largely affected by the way of parties related to each other. How we relate to another person reflects our own personality. Some people may have a greater desire to maintain close relationships, and others are relatively insensitive. But the ability to create, develop, and maintain such relationships are not inborn. Moreover, often than not, this ability involves the way a person listens, questions, cares, and responds to others. In order to develop close and binding relationship, parties must expose themselves to each other. Unless they know each other well, they cannot develop a trusting relationship. Before to be in a relationship, it's very essential and necessary to need to know each other, behavior, choices, views, and attitudes. Now, in our next slide, we'll discuss the increasing interpersonal awareness through the Jory's window. The Jory window is a conceptual model for studying interpersonal awareness. It was developed by Joseph Luft and Harry Langer. The name Jory combines their first name. It is a schematic, we can say, a usual model that shows how people expose themselves to others and receive feedback from others in their interpersonal relationship. The Jory's window has four parts: arena, blind spot, closed, and dark. Arena represents the public self that is known to the self and others. The blind spot area is also known for others, but not to the self. The closed area is a private self, which is known to the self, but not to the others. The dark area is either known to the self nor to others. Jory's window definition. Jory window is a psychological tool to self-assess one's behavior as well as the relationship with the other through through the feedbacks and disclosures. It is one of the most effective means to self-analyze and considering the other's perspective to understand oneself in a better way. The Jory's window is a technique created in 1955 in the United States. The first pin, the arena, contain things that I know about myself and about the group knows. This window is characterized by free and open exchange of information between myself and others. The behavior is public and also available to everyone. The arena increased in size as well as the level of trust increased between individuals or between an individual or groups. Individuals share more information, particularly personally relevant information. In the second pane, the blind spot, which usually collects information that I do not know about myself and but of which the group may know. It means the other group members may know my own information. As I begin to participate in the group, I am not aware of the information I communicate to the group. What happens is the people the people in the group starts to learn this information from my verbal clues or else mannerisms, the way I say things, or the style in which I relate to others. For example, I may not know that I always look away from a person when I talk, or that I always clear my throat just before I say something. The group members learn this from my body language or else by my gestures and postures. Pane 3 is about the facets and hidden area. Contains information that I know about myself, but the group does not know. I keep things hidden from them, or else I may fear that if group members knew my feelings, perception, and opinion about the group or individual in the group, they might reject, attack, or hurt me, or moreover than this, they may get judge me. In this case, as a consequences, I withhold this information. Before taking the risk of telling group members something, I must know there are a supportive element in the group. I want the group members to judge me positively when I reveal my feelings, thoughts, and reactions. Or else, I must reveal something to myself to find out how the group members will react. On the other hand, I may keep certain information to myself so that I can manipulate and control others. Or else, I can hide something from my own group members. The fourth one is, and the last pane, the unknown. And it contains things that are either or neither or not the group knows about. I may never become aware of the materials buried far below the surface in my unconscious area. The group member and I may learn other materials through a feedback exchange among us. This unknown area represents interpersonal dynamics. Early childhood memories, latent potentialities, and maybe unrecognized resources. The internal boundaries of this pain change depending on the amount of feedback sought and received. Knowing all about myself is extremely unlikely, and the unknown extensions is in this model represents the part of me that is always remains unknown. The main objective of this model is to increase mutual understanding that encourages the disclosures and feedback to increase our own open area so that you and your colleagues are aware of your perceptual limits or limitations and reduce the blind, hidden, and the unknown areas. Through the disclosure, that is, informing others of your beliefs, feelings, and experiences, they may influence the work relationship. The open area also increases through the feedback from others about their own behavior, which sounds easy but very difficult to seek. But this kind of feedback will invariably helpful to reduce the blind areas because your co-workers often see things in you which you cannot see for yourself, or else they may sometimes know that your hidden quality or your hidden personality better than you. And finally, the combination of disclosure and feedback occasionally produces revelation about information in the unknown area. Furthermore, in George's window, the implication of this model is that if arena is very small, that is very little free and spontaneous interaction. On the other hand, the larger arena, the greater chance of participants in any relationship to make correct perceptual judgments about each other's. Thus, this accurate perceptual judgment helps them to develop realistic mutual expectations. Meeting these expectations increase the level of trust and influence, and it will help them to maintain a mutually satisfying relationship. As arena expands, the closed area and private self shrinks and it becomes less necessary to hide or deny things one knows or feels. The blind spot also takes longer to reduce because of the self concept and self concept protection mechanisms are involved. Arena can be expanded by means of self disclosure and feedback. These two variables are shown as two large arrows and range from less to more. Self disclosure means revealing oneself to another person, sharing one's feeling, emotions, facts, and knowledge with that of many others. Such an act requires trust in another person and is likely to encourage the other person to follow out or follow suit. But what happened is self disclosure involves both rewards and cost. Being open offers the possibility of self understanding, growth, and we can also say that better interpersonal adjustments. On the other hand, we can disclose ourselves to another. That is, we are taking risk of being rejected, misinterpreted, and shortchanged. However, unless someone takes a risk and initiates self disclosures and relationships will not develop his or her interpersonal skills. Feedback reduces the blind spot areas and helps us to increase self awareness since we often do not know how others view us. We can guess how they see us in their reactions, but these reactions are often not clear and likely to be misperceived. What happens is, unless we receive feedback as to how they see us or what what kind of effects our behavior have on them, are likely to be blind to their feelings and reactions. The feedback given by another can hope to reduce blind spots only if the following characteristics are being followed that are being proposed by Anderson in 1970. First is intended to help the recipient or the respondent. Secondly, given directly with the real feelings and based on a foundation of trust between the giver and the receiver. Which means those who are giving the feedbacks should have a feeling of trust between them. Third is descriptive rather than evaluative. Feedback should be in a descriptive form rather than very evaluative manner. Fourth is specific rather than general with good, clear, and preferable recent example. Given at a time when the recipient appears to be a condition of readiness to accept it, or else checked with others to be sure that they support the validity. Lastly, it concludes only to those things, or it includes only those things that the recipients might be expected to be able to do something about, or in the last, it does not include more than the recipient can handle at any particular time. Interpersonal awareness can be increased in several ways. It is about when you feel that something is wrong with the relationship, but the problem area cannot be identified, or you may take one of the following action. That is, first one, simple as that, ask the other party how the relationship is working out for him or her. That is, solicit feedback. Just asking a favor or to tell how things are going on from your side. Take the initiative in expressing your concern and feelings. That is called initiate self disclosure. That to tell the another person about your feelings of his or her relationship, that you are maybe comfortable, that you feel very free to share your feelings with him or her, and listen to the feedbacks with empathy and without any attempt to defend. It means if the other person is going on his own turn, then listen to the things very calmly without any defending answers so that he or she feels comfortable to share their feelings about you and the relationship between you. The feedback obtained must not be satisfactory, but at least open the doors for improvements. It means many of the times feedback are not to the standards you expected. They may have mentioned the things that you lack. It directly opens the door for the improvement by knowing that what are the actual problems in our behavior or in our relationship. Secondly, it would be more easy than the first one. Ask yourself whether you are fulfilling the psychological contract, or take stock of your perceptions of mutual expectations and see if each of you meeting these expectations, or keeping in mind the characteristics of effective feedback. Communicate your concern to your partner. It means completing or satisfying your mutual expectations. It's a basic human nature that one that if anyone is not up to your expectations, then it's a human tendency to get upset. So it's better to ask yourself before asking other that am I satisfying or able to fulfilling the expectations of my partner before arising a question mark. Here we concluded the Zori window. Hope you all understand the all four bands and all four windows that are being very important to understand ourselves about our own interpersonal skills and behaviors. In the next slide, we are discussing taking interpersonal risk. Nothing really happens in a relationship until the participants learn to trust each other. However, trusting another person is not that simple because it involves a risk of being exposed or being cheated or taken for granted. Many of us have that fear that if we trust the other person, it's the situation that maybe he will trust us in the same manner or not. And the other person behaves in such a manner that is violated one's trust in him or her. The relationship cannot be continued. However, we do not know if we can trust another person until such an opportunity of violation of trust arises. There are few things a person can do to create and maintain a trusting relationship from both the sides. That is, take our initiative for self disclosure. This can set the tone of for developing and maintaining a relationship of trust. That is, initiate from your own side to show that you share your information or your choices or opinions to the other one. Secondly, accept another person self disclosure. Appreciate the other person for taking initiative and the risk of rejection. It means it doesn't a big deal to face your rejection or your opinion that is being rejected from the other one or by your partner. It, there are many situations where the perspective of you and your partner can be extremely in a opposite manner, but accept the another person's self disclosures also. Third is by reciprocate another initiatives with your own self disclosures. Failures do not failures to do so will be interpreted by the other person as a lack of interest or need and will assure the anxiety of possible exploitation. And the feeling of being exploited by trusting anyone or by not accepting your views can create a very large distance between your interpersonal relationships. Fourth is remember that the self fulfilling prophecy works in an interpersonal relationship. An initial assumption or thinks about a person in a way of proving itself if you assume that the another person cannot be trusted and you will find evidence to that effect. If you assume that other person can be used or can be trusted, you are likely to experience the same. In this manner, the interpersonal relationship goes stronger and stronger with the time and understanding each other's perception, attitude, as well as their behavior. And next is about developing cooperative relationships. It is a very unique topic, and of course, a relationship will be maintained and will prosper only when it satisfies the participants' needs and expectations. In a mutually helpful relationship, participants mostly tends to cooperate rather than complete in sharing limited resources and rewards. In work organization, many people complete for limited resources, pay, increase, promotions, powers, and recognitions. But those who want to those who want to develop mutually helpful relationships with others should make an effort to cooperate rather than to compete in a situation. They support each other. They get things learned by sharing each other's information. They support uh, their superiors or superiors support their subordinates. However, the development of a cooperative relationships in function of three factors, that is shareable goals, perceived power of the parties, and the third one is trust. Shareable goals means the perception that the goal is shareable by the parties. In all interdependent relationships, there exist at least superordinate goals which can be achieved only if the parties cooperate. Perceived powers of the other parties refers as the perception that all parties have the power enough to use in a benevolent or malevolent manner, depending upon their individual choices. This factor refers to the appreciation of the fact that anybody in a relationship has the power to help and hinder goals achievements. It is that every party in an interpersonal relationship has their own nature of helping others or have the abilities to achieve their own goals also. Third one is trust. A minimum level of trust prevailing amongst the parties that power of the other party will not be used in a malevolent way. The present level of trust in a product of past experience and self fulfilling proficiency. The more trusting the parties become, the more likely it is that they will engage in cooperative relationship in future. In our next slide, we are discussing the fourth point, that is revolving interpersonal problems. What happens is when a close interpersonal relationship is maintained by building trust, acceptance, and support, both there are times when one party may become angry with the other for failing to meet the psychological boundaries or expectations. When this occurs, the first party should constructively confront the other. How well the two handle such an interpersonal problem, that is will indicate the depth of their relationship, that they have a better understanding. In a shallow relationship, one party may ignore the destructive behavior of the other, but in a mature relationship, however, both parties should engage a constructive conformation in order to improve the quality of relationship or the understanding between them. Constructive constructive confrontation is defined by Johnson in 1972 as a deliberate attempt to help another person examine the consequences for his or her behavior. It involves providing feedback that is useful and unthreatening to the confronting. Keeping in mind that the characteristic of feedback discussed earlier, you can improve the effectiveness of confrontation by observing the following principle, that is, importance of the relationship. Importance of the relationship. Do not confront another person unless both the parties sees the importance of relationship truly valued it. Otherwise, confrontation may turn into or be perceived as criticism or a failure, that you are trying your best or you are confronting to the another in front of your partner what he or she is taking you as granted. Secondly, the ability of the confront. Confront another person only when you perceive that he or she has the ability to act on your feedback. If the confrontee cannot change his or her behavior, the confrontation can lead to frustration that I am doing a lot to accept his or her faults, but they are not accepting your feedback or you're not accepting uh, they are not accepting your shared information or the shared behavior. Use of empathy. By this third point, view the problem of the confrontee perceptions or perceptives. You may even change your perception of the problem as a result of this empathy. It means, okay, if you are not able to understand the things at this situation, then don't have a conflict or a disagreements. Let me change on my own behalf. Use of eye language. Use I language such as the word I, me, or mine to reduce the defensiveness of the confronting. You language, that is, use of you and yours, are more closely related to criticism and sermonizing or showing them that you have a different identity or your partner have different identity than you. Focusing on behavior. And this, focus your feedback on specific behavior rather than on the person. A person's directed feedback produces defensive behavior and resentment. When we change our behavior but not ourselves, many of the times we say that now from now onwards me or I will not do such things that hurts you or that makes you uncomfortable. But that is you stop being you, but you are not changing yourself. It is a big difference than making a change in a behavior, not in ourselves. Lastly, use of descriptive statement. Describe how you see and feel about behaviors rather than a person. A person directed feedback produce defensive behavior and disagreeableness. We change our behavior, that is, evaluating a judgment statements can easily evoke defensive behavior because such statements can be interrupted and criticized. It means that it is a item that do not hate the person. It's her or her behavior that make their false identity or personality. Same here, we should not say that you are wrong. In the other way, we can say that I think your behavior at that situation is likely being wrong or injustice to me. It is the same thing we have said, but we have not targeted or the statement is not judgmental to the person, but it's only about their behavior. Exploring alternative behaviors. That is, instead of suggesting any specific solution to the problem, help the person explore various means of overcoming it. It means if a person is not able to understand the situation and his own behavior or his own action they are doing or taking at the time, then help them to explore the different ways to handle that exact situation by changing slight change in their behavior and their way of communication or in the way they are expressing themselves. It the next point is selection of time. Resolving interpersonal problems mainly affected by this point. That is, since the timing is important for effective confrontation, select a time when confrontee is relaxed and more open to receive the feedback without any defensive nature. It means we often hear that don't talk to a person when he is in very aggressive mode. It just simply means that give him his or her time to settle down or to be relaxed so that when you go and talk, when you go confront them, they have they are in the nature to accept what you are saying. Most important is privacy. Confront a person in private. Open confrontation will be considered a person attack rather than a helpful encounter. It means whenever there is a conflict between two of the parties or two of between you and your partner, then it's a basic nature that when we are going to talk in front of others, it's again a human tendency that it takes the encounter in a negative way, that he or she will think that they are discussing this topic in front of others just to show them that they are wrong, or they are in a they have a very bad behavior. But the thing is, important part, being a very good partner when you give your views and opinion or feedback when you are are in private. Use of non-verbal behavior. Use of non-verbal behavior will speak louder than words. To express yourself than others. Eye contact, appropriate tone of voice, and correct postures that all add to effectiveness to the confrontation. We usually say that we are not able to say sorry or thank you most of the time to the people we love, but we show them by other non-verbal behaviors, that preparing a food, the one who understands you, or by giving them surprises, or to help them in a basic nature in their daily life. And here we reached to the slide that is used to be concluded. This unit, we have discussed the importance of interpersonal competence, which is at the heart of social skills required by any manager in an organization. You have not seen that in order to improve interpersonal competence or behavior, one must have a very accurate ideas about one's self-concept once formed resist change through several of the protective mechanisms. These three interpersonal needs that we have discussed was inclusion, control, and affection are related with self-concept. But these ideas have two behavioral aspects that is expressed and wanted. The concept of interpersonal orientation tells us how we influence each other. You have been seeing the three basic types of person that have been identified, that is tough, bachelor, and friendly helper. And the objective thinkers. The concept of interpersonal attraction that we have discussed tell us why we like each other. If you have seen that people interact more frequently with those who are perceived as conforming their self-concept to the great extent. Bond of attraction forms most strongly between those who hold similar views through towards the things that are important and relevant to the both. We also discussed the four stages of development of a working relationship. The first stage that we have discussed of socialization is forming an initial impression. Initial favorable impressions do not guarantee long term relationships, but they are essential for entering into enduring relationship with others. In forming first impressions, nonverbal behavior plays an important role as verbal behavior. In the second stage, a set of mutual expectations are worked out and understood by the parties. Many of these expectations are unwritten and unspoken, as that we are always not able to share our own views, our own expectations to the other. It means we think that he or she will understand by your nature and behavior and the way you deal with them. But many times the expectations are not being understood, that are not spoken to the other one or not being communicated, and unless not being communicated to others. Hence, these are all psychological contracts. An effective interpersonal or work relationship cannot develop unless the participants are willing to honor their psychological contracts. The result of fulfilling the psychological contracts is an increased level of trust and influence of one another, or else the settlement of their own thinking that we have a same behavior and we trust each other. In the last section of developing interpersonal skills, we have come across the conceptual model called Jory Window. It was the most effective way to understand about developing our own interpersonal skills. You all have seen that interpersonal competence can be greatly enhanced by enlarging arena with the help of a feedback and self-disclosures. Several characteristics of effective feedback have been discussed, and it also emphasizes that interpersonal relations cannot flourish unless the parties are prepared to take a certain interpersonal risk, that whether our opinion or our choices are being rejected, it doesn't affect on our interpersonal relationship. Development of cooperative relationship is facilitated when there are shared goals, mutually perceived powers of minimum level of distrust. Finally, we have discussed that the principles of constructive confronts and resolving interpersonal problems. Further, in the final touch, we will try to go through our case study that is about analyzing interpersonal skills and marketing team. The case study background was Emily is a BBA student completing her internship at a digital marketing agency. She has assigned to work closely with two colleagues, Mark and Rachel. On the major client project, the team dynamics initiate seems positive, but a challenges have been assigned. Horizon that were communication patterns. Initially, Emily, Mark, and Rachel communicated effectively through regular team meetings and daily check ins. But they also used mix of in-person discussions and online tools for coordination. However, as the project processed, communication became less frequent with some critical details being overlooked and misinterpreted. Secondly, about the conflict resolution. The second challenge arises when a conflict arose when Emily and Rachel disagreed on a creative direction for the client campaigns. Emily preferred a more data driven approach, while Rachel advocates for a more visual appealing designs. Mark, as a leader, initially tries to mediate but struggled to find a compromise that satisfied both Emily and Rachel. The conflict remained unsolved, leading to a tension in the team. The third problem was about power dynamics. Mark, being the team leader with more experience, initially had authority over the project decisions. However, Emily and Rachel's both BBA and turn felt their inputs are undervalued at that time. This power dynamics affect team dynamics as Emily and Rochelle hesitate to challenge Mark's decision, fearing that it might affect their evaluation throughout their internships. It must be a hesitation of a superior or not to challenge the decision that is taken by the leader. Fourth was about trust and intimacy. Trust between Emily, Mark, and Rachel initially developed through shared goals and collaborative efforts. But however, the conflicts over creative decision direction strained trust as Emily and Rachel felt their different perspectives were not being adequately considered. Another basic problem was about roles and expectations. Initially, the roles were clearly defined. Mars, as a leader, responsible for overall project management. Emily focusing on analytics and strategies, and Rachel's on creative design. However, with the time, as the project evolved, overlapping responsibilities and different expectations emerged, leading to a confusion and a conflicts among them. Emotional expressions become another problem arose. That is, Emily tends to express her ideas, concern openly, sometimes coming across as assertive. On the other hand, Rachel prefers to avoid confrontations and tends to express his opinion more stably and through non-verbal clues. Cultural and contextual influences. The workplace culture emphasizes creativity and innovation, but lacks structured processes for conflict resolution. Emily, Mark, and Rochelle come from diverse cultural backgrounds, influencing their communication styles and perspective on a teamwork. As they belong to different backgrounds, their schooling, their different perspectives, they deal the situations in all three different ways, which was not possible. External influences were also the factor. External factors such as tight deadlines, clients' demands for quick revision, and the pressure meets project milestones have added stress to their working relationships. Lack of guidance from the senior management on conflict resolution, the team dynamics has accelerated the situation. That means no one was trying to solve their interpersonal relationship with each other. As Emily was very initiative to share her views, but on the other hand, Rachel was not ready for the confrontation. There were different personalities in our team members. In the part of analysis of this case study, the relationship between the marketing team has encountered challenges due to communication breakdowns. The main reason was only due to the breakdown of communication between the team members. Secondly, conflicting expectation and unresolved conflicts. The initial trust and cohesion was being damaged when the disagreement over creative direction arose between Emily and Rachel, highlighting underlying power dynamics. The differing communication styles and factors have impacted team performance and moral potential affecting the project success. When we talk about recommendations, facilitate communication, implement regular team meetings and clear communication channels to ensure that all team members are informed at the same time, at the same level, and have opportunities to express their ideas and concerns also to the whether it doesn't mean that they will they are not allowed to share their views in front of their leaders. Conflict resolution training. Provide training on conflict resolution strategies and emotional intelligence to help team members navigate disagreement constructively and understand each other's perspective. That is, they must provide a session for conflict resolution, or they would have get a session from their subordinates or from their superiors about discussing the actual conflict to find out the reasons behind that conflict. Also, the interpersonal relationship classes or sessions that would help to understand what the actual drawback is. Lastly, role clarification. Clarifying roles and responsibilities within the team, ensuring each members understand their contribution and expectations. Without clarifying the roles and responsibilities, it is being understood that the conflict is permanent. If the members of the team are not assured that their expectation to accept their ideas and opinions, they will be always be feeling the point of uh, ignorance and disacceptance. Thirdly, the leader support. Encourage Mark to facilitate open discussion and actively seeking input from Emily and Rachel's to foster the collaborative decision making process. It is being initiated that Mark should change his leadership style, or else Mark should give them, the two interns, the chance to share their opinions and to form an environment of collaborative or collective decision making rather than his own choice. Lastly, it's about team bonding activity. Organizing team bonding activities to strengthen relationships, building trust, and improve team working among Emily, Mark, and Rachel. What happened is that we have studied that most of the qualities are not known to oneself. They are better known to our team members or a group members. Same as by organizing the team build bonding activities or sessions, the understanding level that it gives a very positive attitude that wow, my group member knows about me so perfectly. That is, they know and I can trust them. It is a very dependable variables that if a relationship is being strong, then surely they first of all they need know each other. Secondly, they have a trust and they have that acceptance to improve their interpersonal relationship and skills together with a mutual support. By addressing these aspects, Emily, Mark, and Rachel can work towards improving their interpersonal relationships, enhancing their team dynamics, and achieving the outcomes of their client project within the deadlines in a very effective and efficient manner. If these suggestions are being implemented, then it will be the best of best for Emily, Mark, and Rachel to work together by improving their relationships and understandings, especially in enhancing their team dynamics or their team performance. If they take a collective decision and they collectively work together to achieve their target and to complete that project. For sure, this team would create a best cohesiveness within the group. That is, when mutually they started to influence or to support each other, then it would increase the level of efficiency, level of productivity, and performance would surely increase. Thereby, discussing this case study, I'm sure that you will understand the basic concept of analyzing interpersonal relationship and hope that you all have the clear concepts about the topic we have discussed today.